time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure, so let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Badass Slingshots,
and Mossy Oak.
The 2015 Dream Season Decree is a deadly combination of speed and precision. It's built for the moments when time stands still. When the only thing that will break the silence is an arrow slicing a clean path to the kill zone. The bow of your dreams is a nightmare for big game. This is PSE's Decree. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
We know the future of hunting depends on our nation's youth. But did you know that in many states, it's illegal for you to take your son or daughter hunting until the age of 12 or even older? As a result, we have fewer young hunters, and the Families Afield program is designed to eliminate those barriers. Hunting is safe, and the safest hunters afield are young people with adult mentors. Visit our website at familiesafield.org to find out how you can bring more families afield.
Welcome back to another Up North Journal Minicast. Sitting here in the cabin tonight with Dan and Randy Duncan.
Yeah, Randy's joined us for a Minicast and joining us and talk about something, it's not on the main show, but we're going to talk about something we've talked about in the past. But
Something we saw at ATA.
Yeah, something we saw at ATA and did a little interview with Mr.
John Livingston.
Yep,
from Deerlab.
Deerlab. We talked about this since we've the ATA and possibly with your hunt club using Deerlab as a management tool helper.
Yep.
To help you manage your photos.
Yeah.
And you've now set out your cameras a couple of months now, and you've got a couple of sets of photos, and you finally subscribed to Deerlab.
Yeah, this last week actually, a couple of days ago actually. So yeah, we're.
So you are officially up and running Deerlab.
We are running I am running Deerlab. Yeah, actually, I pay for the subscription myself on this. It's just something that I feel is important, and especially since I'm the one that's managing the trail cams. I need a way to be able to look at manage them, categorize them, figure out how to hunt these deer, figure out if we got problem with predators, seeing our bear, our turkeys, all that stuff.
Exactly. So the first thing I'm going to ask, you've had this for about a week now. Let's just kind of briefly go over Deerlab as to what easy was it to start with uploading your photos?
Pretty easy. I can do a drag and drop.
Ooh, a drag and drop system.
Yeah, the way I categorize my photos when I pull them off my camera, I pull the card out of my camera, I have my laptop with me. I mean, you've seen some pictures I put online where I'm sitting out there with my laptop in the woods, pop my card in, and for each camera, I've got a folder pre-built. Like this year, I started with a master folder, 2016 trail cam photos. And then inside that is a folder for each trail camera. So if it's like camera 1, okay, just for instance.
So now you are going to use the same camera in that location every time?
Don't have to, and actually I'm probably going to move these around quite a bit.
Okay, you're going to move them around, okay.
We'll kind of get into part of that here in a minute as well, but when I click on that file for that, or that folder for that camera, inside I do another folder for each time I pull the photos, whatever the date is.
Yep.
May 15th, 2016. That's a folder, and I put all those photos in there. So that way I know when those photos were pulled, and I know what camera they're from. And that's the way I did it last year. But the problem is like I've got all these photos, and it's like, okay, so where did I see that buck at? Where did I see, the coyotes at? And you got a cool pick, but it's like out of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 photos, where's it at?
Yeah, try to find that photo again after you start clicking through, right? So they're easy to upload.
Mm-hmm.
I also noticed, we were kind of talking about this before the mini cast, that you went through and you've tagged them in like predators, the turkeys you're seeing, the bear, and you're able to define that, which is kind of cool, and build up profiles.
Yep, exactly. And that way, you could target a specific buck. You name a buck, old mossy or drop tine left or whatever, and that way when you get those photos, you every time you see that buck, you make sure and put that tag on, and you build a profile, quote unquote. We're profiling here.
Yeah, we are profiling. Yes,
we are profiling. You profile the animal, and you can then it grabs all the metadata. And this is the thing: you got to make sure that your camera's date and timestamp are correct, because Deerlab will go out and grab the metadata from the actual location of where you put these cameras. Now, as you can see on my overview here, Dan, that it's a satellite view of our camp or our property, and you can see each location of where I've placed cameras.
And you gave that, and you put in the location of your camera, or
actually no, Deerlab reads exactly where this is at because it uses satellite GPS system. Okay, so just wherever I put a camera, it will read on that map exactly the GPS coordinates.
So from the trail cam, you put in like latitude and longitude, or
don't have to, because I'm dropping a pinpoint on this map here. It knows exactly where that latitude and longitude is.
Okay, so you have to do that from the app. You have to kind of pinpoint in somewhat of an area.
Yeah, well, exact area. I can zoom right down to. Pop over here real quick, Randy. I'll show you. Yeah, I can get right down to
pretty near close a tree.
Yeah, this I know exactly. Well, I went in too far there. Now there's no data. Right there, I know that tree right there on this overview, I know I got a trail cam there. And I've named that one the spillway camera because it's right next to our spillway. So there's a pine tree there, and so it knows exact location.
Okay, so from now on, it'll draw from that location the metadata of all the pictures you tag coming from that camera.
Right. Well, we're in when you're pulling weather data from an area, I don't know exactly how big that area is, but within a 5-10 square mile area, you're going to wind up with the same data for the same date.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to pull from your area. But I've got it right down to pretty doggone near the tree that these things are on.
And then you can go in and then kind of investigate. When you gather more pictures, you can investigate more of, okay, if you want to see anything, if like I saw one for wind speed.
Yeah. Yep.
You can maybe pull one for moon.
Yeah, you can start looking at the weather, what causes these deer or other animals to move. Weather conditions. Okay, like, old drop tine buck or drop tine left. He's only moving when there's a northwest wind, blowing, over or under 10 miles an hour. When it's windy, he's not moving.
Or he doesn't like a full moon, or
right, exactly.
Something to that effect.
Maybe he's not moving because it's too bright. But then you've got a good picture of the bobcat that you got.
Yeah.
And right now you've only got the couple pictures of the bobcat. It's determining that the bobcat is moving in very light winds.
Right. Yep. Yeah. As well as the coyotes. Yeah. When there's
coyotes are the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wind was almost non-existent.
So, that kind of gives you, okay, on windy days, and then you can develop as you go and you pull more pictures. You can start to see maybe that is true, or maybe it was just a one oddity, right?
Or maybe they're moving in one area when it winds a certain direction, or another area when it winds a certain direction because of what they're hunting. They're looking for smells coming out of a certain area because they've typically been successful finding their dinner or what have you. You know what I'm saying?
Like going back to the dinner table.
Yeah. So,
but
you're building a profile around these animals.
Playing devil's advocate. Does this kind of take the hunting part of it out of the equation?
I think it makes you a better hunter, a smarter hunter, because you're not going to be wasting time when animals are not out there. I think it's going to build your learning curve. If you're not seeing deer in this area on a trail cam, why hunt there? Why spend your time there if you're not getting anything? Then you move your trail cam somewhere else. To me, it's a way to scout multiple locations at the same time. It gives you a view into your hunting community of what's going on your property.
It also gives you that directory of what you have on the property.
Yeah, and for me, that's probably the bigger thing is what's my inventory? What have I got on the property to hunt?
That was my next question is how do the members Are they receptive?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think they are. Some of them, I don't think really understand what we're doing with this per se yet, and that's going to be the learning curve.
But it sounds like if you have all this data that you at the next meeting or get together that you have, it could be a good thing because you could say, hey, Bob's stand that we've had these trail cams at, the reason Bob hasn't seen something in 4 years
because there's nothing there.
Exactly.
Right.
Because of the fact that the bobcats are running through there or Bob has a bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's it. And I think exactly what you're getting at, Randy, especially with him and the hunt club when they have the next meeting. And if you were to present this to him, say, hey, guys, remember the trail cameras we all bought? Well, guess what? Here it is, a top view. This is where they all were. And this is what we're seeing.
This is the payoff.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. It's putting eyes in the woods in real time, being able to see what's there. Now, I mean, obviously, you're getting only a slice. You're getting a very small window. But if you're a smart hunter and know how to scout, you're going to put these on places where you got deer crossings or deer runs, just outside of bedding areas between that and the food source. That's where you're talking about making. Is it really hunting or is it making you a lazy hunter? I think it's right the opposite. You got to know where to put the cameras and where to move them to if you're not seeing something, and then try to figure out, okay, why am I not seeing something here? Is the camera turned in the wrong direction? Am I on a game trail? There's certain things you got to scout.
It's more than just putting up a camera and hoping for the best.
Yeah, there's more thought that goes into it, and I think this also drives you as a hunter. And I know it did last year when you passed up a certain buck, knowing there was another buck in the area.
Yeah.
You were getting more selective in your QDMA process.
Well, that's just it too. It's like, okay, where are we at in this process? Are we seeing bigger deer? And I had the proof that we had big bucks on the property. Now, did we shoot? We shot a couple decent bucks this year. The thing is now we can start using these photos to educate people. It's like, okay, this buck that we shot, 2 years ago, well, this is the reason we don't shoot this buck, because when he grows 2 years and he becomes this buck, this is what you want to shoot.
He's that 9 point you shot. That 4 point or 5 point that you weren't iffy about. Now, 2 years ago, from now.
No, exactly.
Or the buck you weren't sure about or because it didn't have enough points 2 years ago, now is that 9 point you just shot this morning.
Well, even a 2.5-year-old 8 point, which in years past, that one right there, that's 2.5-year-old 8 point I shot sitting there on the wall. Had I let that thing gone for 2 years, he'd probably been, a 10 point. Who knows? Maybe he developed even something bigger. But the thing is learning what to look at for body size and body structure.
And that's another tool. You've got some nice field shots of the deer that you can help do that too. Well, this is what a doe looks like, mature doe or a young doe, young buck.
Here's the difference between, if you're targeting, does. This is what a doe looks like versus a button buck. Maybe you do want to harvest a couple of your middle-aged does out of the herd for whatever reason, and you want to educate people. It's like, okay, look at the body structure, look at the head, and the way the head is shorter versus a long nose on a doe. Look, the ears. There's different characteristics to look at, and you can use this as a teaching tool as well. And be able to help people along. But we've been into this for a week, but the biggest thing that I've really learned about this is what's a valuable picture and what's not. And I'm still learning that, but you got to go through and weed your photos out.
And you might change your mind a little bit into this and say, maybe I've been looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You can use it. You may be targeting deer, but then come to find out you've got a decent pattern on bear.
Yeah.
And you've got family or friends or you can share that information with another member that has a bear tag going, hey.
Yeah, this is where we need to set up.
You may want to, exactly.
Hunt over in this area versus over here.
Yep.
And that's, I've been profiling the bear, and seeing what's going on there. Actually, we were seeing deer leaving a field quite often, and we didn't know why. Well, now we know why. There's bear there. The bear coming out and running the deer out of the field. Especially when they're getting ready to fawn. And that's the thing that I really learned here a couple of weeks ago when I pulled photos. I started looking, the first set of photos I got, there wasn't one coyote on the property. for, running in front of our cameras. Now, maybe they're pointing the wrong direction. I don't know. But they're typically, the places I put these cameras, there's a high instance of me catching a coyote in several places. Well, now I just pulled photos a couple weeks ago, and we caught coyote on here, caught a bobcat on here, and the bear as well. And I'm like, okay, what's all of a sudden changed? I'm like, wait a minute. I started noticing all these does that are ready to start dropping. And I'm like, key here, correlation. Predators move in, start becoming more active right as the fawning season starts.
They know
Makes
that.
sense.
They know the area where they're going to drop them.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're coming to the dinner table, going.
Yeah,
They're here.
It's that time of
Yep,
year,
that's it.
And actually, we I got a report this week. We actually got our first fawn spotted on the property. Actually, our camp manager actually watched it being born. It was twins, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, out in the field there in front of his house.
Yeah, that pictures I posted, so that was pretty cool.
Sweet.
Oh. Now, is this only for private land? Now I know you don't want to necessarily put
You want to put your
game
camera?
cameras on public land, but let's
You can, yeah.
It's not just so you could in actuality you could do the same thing for public land.
Absolutely.
As long as nothing was okay.
Sure. Yeah, you got a
All
big
right.
tract of public land that doesn't get a lot of hunting pressure, and you want to throw cameras out. Yeah, any camera that throws a metadata tag on it, and it's really, I think John told me there's only one camera company that doesn't, and it's an older one.
Okay, so yeah, you can basically use this filing tool for
Well,
anything.
and that's good to know because some people that don't necessarily have land or a club or something to use, I could see this being a really good tool as long as
Right, as long as
your stuff is not missing.
Yeah,
Right.
as long as
So
your camera one is now gone.
yeah,
So
No, it sounds like you're starting to hit this off with Deerlab, getting into this. You're starting to file things and profile things. And it's going to be interesting to see just before hunting season what your profiles look like.
Well, I almost thought about, and I haven't decided just yet, but I've got all of our photos from last year, and I thought maybe dumping them into the system and seeing what it tells me.
so it doesn't necessarily. It'll take whatever photos you could have photos from years ago.
Right.
As long as it's got metadata, it'll. Well, that would be pretty good because then you could start kind of grafting.
Yeah, as long as you got some background information on the photos that you're inputting, I think it would be.
Yeah.
I think it'd be all right.
I was just trying to find here.
And it's as simple as you go through and where can you find this? What's the website to find Deerlab?
Deerlab.com. It's DEERLAB.com. Deerlab, just like it sounds.
You
Deerlab.com.
can go out there and check it out.
Yeah,
But,
and you can try it for 14 days for free.
Okay, it's got a trial offer on
Yeah.
it. And you can go out there and do this. And
4 different levels you can buy into, or you can pay for it month by month. I bought into the 3rd level on it, which I think I can manage up to 4 different properties, and I can store up to 50,000 pictures. That's the one thing. Now, you talk about storing from years previous. You do want to purge after a period of time, or you can buy the maximum level, which is unlimited. But for our purposes,
but 50,000
still-
photos is a lot of photos.
Yeah.
That's a ton of photos. Oh yeah.
Well, I figure last year we pulled probably anywhere, I'm going to say between 5,000 and 10,000 photos, and that's just initial photos before I started weeding through them, throwing away the false triggers, and I've got my camera set up to take 3 photos. When it gets triggered, it'll take 3 snapshots. I think they're a second or 2 seconds apart, and then it'll wait 1 minute before it takes another photo. And so that way, if a deer's feeding in front of the camera for any length of time,
you don't get
you
10
can-
photos of the same deer
well,
nose.
even the way I've got it set up, you can wind up with 50 photos real quick, over an hour's period of time.
Right, you just got to
So
go through them.
you got to go through and look at them and figure out, okay, which ones am I going to keep and discard. So it's forcing me to really look at what I want to keep. So, and is it worth keeping? I guess that's the thing, is looking at photos and seeing what's valuable in this photo. What can I find out of it? So,
And that's what this program is going to help you do.
yeah.
And then hopefully it's going to lead to helping you do your QDMA project.
Yeah, build a hit list,
Build a hit list.
of bucks in the area that we're seeing, and
Or does to take
or
out.
doors. Yeah, and another thing I'm going to do here real soon is I'm going to get the QDMA's book on doing trail camera surveys.
Oh, yep.
So right around the 1st September, we're going to pull cards. I'm going to figure out how this survey works, and then we're going to use that to figure out what our deer per acre is and how many does.
Instead of guessing that we need to take 12 this year, when actuality you may find out 6 or 8 may be the actual number.
Well, from looking at what we've got right now, I'm really worried that we're nowhere near what we need to be shooting. Last year we targeted 15, we shot 12. And I'm thinking more like 25 to 30 might be a start.
Wow.
At the pregnant deer that I've seen on trail cam is just incredible. And each one usually will throw twins.
Wow.
So if we've got, 25 pregnant does, that's another 50 deer.
Yep.
I mean, that's if your fawn catch rate is 100%, which it's not going to be. But
it's a good number to
even
to
at
ballpark
90%.
with.
Well,
because even if you target 25, you're not going to probably shoot all 25 or 30.
No. And, you got to think about the bucks in there as well. And when we've got so many deer on the property, how many do we need to shoot to start reducing that number and that impact on our land? Because that's the thing, we're seeing a lot of overgrazing, overbrowsing. So,
okay, one question I do have: can you load video?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, I was just wondering. I was just looking at it on the big screen and kind of made me.
I don't know, and I don't know if it is video. Is it 60 frames per second HD? Is that 60 photos? So then it chews up your memory, or the amount that you've got available.
You know what? We should have John on the show.
He's already agreed to it. I've already talked to John.
I know.
He'll be on here real soon.
Now
somewhere through the summer here.
The web guy in me. Once you have all of your photos and your analytics, can you spit it out into a report?
A form?
I do believe
or
somewhere along here there is a way to export,
I bet you can.
Export data.
A spreadsheet that says.
I've not really looked heavily into this yet. I'm still plowing through a lot of this.
He's still learning. He's on the learning curve.
That's all right.
So, yes.
So cool. So obviously, stay tuned. We're going to dive into this a little bit more, have our Deerlab updates.
Yep, and we'll get John on the show and talk a little more about Deerlab and what it has to offer. Because, and you can look at our video as well that we did at ATA. You can go back and look through that, and maybe actually I'll post that this week, repost that again along with this minicast. So
absolutely.
Check that out.
So that'll do it, folks, for our minicast of Deerlab.
This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Badass Slingshots,
and Mossy Oak.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.